I agree. And, you know, I've heard often, heard mentioned often about 200 jobs. And I thought, you know, what do they do? Expect people to just work out in the fields? It's not just 200 jobs that are going to be working there. Somebody's got to build the facility in the first place. And you're talking about immediate jobs. You're not talking about 3 years down the road. Immediate jobs. People are going to be starting to work. That's our own people in Collier County working at building this facility. And as you've mentioned off camera, that there are some positives that might come along with that, and that means other facilities to be built. That means it's going to be keeping people employed for years that aren't even working in Jackson Labs, but working on building the facilities.
Well, indeed. The economic forecasters who looked at this whole project estimated that there would be between 300 and 400 jobs created during that initial 2-year construction period. Mm-hmm. And so you think about a construction project in the $70–75 million range, employing 300 or 400 people. That's 300 or 400 families with money to spend and a way to pay their bills. And that money circulates through the economy.
Yes.
And it supports the businesses and the suppliers for the whole project. So the effects would be it would be very apparent in the short term.
Yes, just immediate. Yeah, as soon as we approve something like that, if we do, and you begin to build, there's got to be effects to that right away. Somebody was telling me, and I haven't seen it with my own eyes yet, although I plan on doing that, that up in at the Burnham Institute, there is building going on all the time as more and more facilities are being built to house the attractors into that area. So they've stayed busy from the moment they started building Burnham until this moment.
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable. I was fortunate to visit that facility a couple of months back, and I was amazed at what I saw there. The Burnham Institute was funded by the state about 3 years ago. They actually opened their doors in October of 2009, just a few months ago. In the next month or so, the University of Central Florida will open its medical school next door to the Burnham Institute. Across the road is a new VA hospital. That's a $1 billion construction project that they project will attract 400,000 patients a year to Lake Nona. And also under construction is a $400 million hospital project from the Nemours Corporation, a pediatric research hospital. So all of these medical facilities have come together, and they're going to create thousands and thousands of jobs, and the economic effect on Orlando and that region is going to be remarkable. Mm-hmm. And you know, there are similar kinds of development happening around the other newly transplanted Florida research institutes. Orlando is, in my view, the most spectacular success among them.
One of the things that I think people aren't aware of is that you're not moving your facility down here. You're staying in Bar Harbor. You're opening another facility here. Is that correct?
That's right. We have had a wonderful relationship with the people in the state of Maine. And in fact, in the past 10, 12 years, we have more than doubled our employment numbers in Bar Harbor to about 1,200. We've more than, more than quadrupled our operating budget to now nearly $200 million a year. And we expect to remain in Maine and to continue to grow there. What this institute in Florida will be is an extension and an expansion of our human genetics work. And an opportunity to move the lab into this new area of personalized medicine much more rapidly than we would be able to accomplish back home in Maine.
Mm-hmm. I started doing some research, and I'm going to continue to do research, by the way. As I go to see other facilities, I'm going up to Bar Harbor to see for myself, not only with you, but on my own, couple days on my own, I just want to sit around coffee shops and talk to the people and see what they have to say. But as I was making some arrangements, it's interesting because one of the people in Bar Harbor said, we want them to build that here. We don't want them to go down there. Do you know that they pump $200 million into our economy every year? And I thought, people haven't talked about how much comes back into the economy from your facility, and it's a great deal of money. Now, I understand up in Bar Harbor you work with mice to do your experiments. Here you will be doing them with genes. Is that correct?
Yes, we have probably the world's most extensive operation in mouse genetics. And without getting into it too much, it turns out that mice are a very good model for human disease. Genetically, mice and people are very similar. We're built of the same genetic parts. Not identical, but very similar. However, the arrival of modern high-throughput, low-cost gene sequencing opens the opportunity for us to do much more extensive work with human genetics using small tissue samples as opposed to working in mice. Now, the work that we do in Bar Harbor will complement the work that we do in Florida, and it will be a tremendous asset for our scientists here to be able to test their hypotheses in mice back in Bar Harbor. Because no matter how strong a hunch we have that a particular treatment might work, we're always going to want to test it in a laboratory animal before we try it out on people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I like you testing it on mice first.
Right.
That's just great. We're coming close to the end of our program, and there might be something else that you wanted to ask about, but I just wanted to note that you were talking about mice. Didn't you just send some into outer space?
Yes, a group of Jackson Laboratory mice were part of an experiment on the space shuttle earlier this year. It was a study of the effects of weightlessness on the immune system. And there's a Jackson Laboratory mouse whose immune system is remarkably similar to that of people, and that was selected for the experiment in question. They came home safely, and we were very proud of them.
Oh, that's very good. Well, Mike, we're going to wrap this up, but if there's anything else you'd like to tell us that maybe I've forgotten to ask you about, please feel free.
Well, I guess I would summarize this, Donna, by repeating a point that I made earlier in our discussion. I think there are two reasons why people in Collier County should care about this proposal. The first is that the kind of research that's going to happen here in Collier County is going to have a profound impact on our health and that of our children and our grandchildren. I firmly believe it's going to be part of a major revolution in the way that medicine is practiced in the future. And the second reason is that the leadership of this county is committed to catching the wave of the biomedical revolution that's going on in Florida and determined to build a kind of science city out in the eastern part of the county where cutting-edge research, medical treatment, drug development, and biomedical enterprises thrive and flourish. And I think those two things together are very compelling reasons to give this a long, hard look and some careful consideration.
I agree, Mike. And I thank you so much for being here today. This was great.
My pleasure.
Thank you.